a mom, right? You think she deserves less?
Of course.
Why does she deserve less?
No, I'm saying I have a mom, yeah.
But
And you say women deserve less. Your mom is a woman.
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?
You think you came out of deserves less? You came out of a woman.
Here's
Like,
the
you
difference.
wouldn't be alive without a woman.
Well, here's the difference. How old are you guys?
15.
Where's your father?
Where's your mother, you dumbass?
Why does that matter?
Where's your mother?
Where's your dad?
Where's your mother?
What the hell is going on here?
Fucking moral.
I'll tell you this, my mom wasn't prancing around, downtown Miami at 15. The hell? Bro, what the hell's going on here, man?
All right.
Yo, I hate being right all the time, man. God damn. We're cooked.
Oh, God.
What the hell? Bro, they should be fucking reading a book somewhere in a library. What's going on, dude?
This is great, right? So Myron does this stuff where he hangs out. He's in, downtown Miami. People approach. He's very well known in Miami. He's got that, Fresh and Fit show, super popular. He hangs out. People approach. He has these conversations, kind of like his campus tour, but I guess he's doing these now just in Miami. We're going to talk to Myron about all of this too on the show. And so stay tuned for that. But what's great about this is he starts the conversation. He doesn't realize how old they are, right? Look how they're, first of all, who would think that 15-year-olds would be dressed like that, talking like that, out that late, right? Confronting, a grown man, right? You're not prepared for that answer. You're prepared for, 18, 19, whatever. So what I love about it is, first of all, he has that conversation and then he completely does a full stop when he realizes they're 15, which just shows that he's got his head on his shoulders, right? You can't debate this. First of all, you shouldn't be debating this with a child, right? Secondly, this is totally inappropriate content for them to be approaching him with, right? And he realizes, okay, full stop. No, underage, not having this conversation, go. But his reaction is great because he's like, where is your dad, right? Where is your dad? Where are the parents of these? I mean, imagine 15 years old, cursing, dressed all, out in Miami, with the gonads to approach a grown man on the street and have these conversations. They also know who he is. That means they're watching the content. 15 years old, watching Fresh and Fit with all that. They're in the culture. 15 years old. 15 years old. So what do you think that girl looks like by 20? If this is 15, and he's right, you should be reading a book in a library or something. Like, go be a kid. You're a child. Go be a child, right? And it's interesting because when I was growing up, some of us looked older. I had a baby face, but if I did my hair and I, had the really long waist length hair, and if I did myself up, I could look older. I still had a baby face, but could look older. But my attitude was young, right? I was super shy. I would never, it would have taken me to early 20s to be able to approach a guy like that. And even then I would have been like, hey, excuse me, I have a question. Hey, I was a baby. I was emotionally appropriate for my age. These girls are growing up because of social media, their phones, they're growing up like this. So they're talking like badly behaved 25-year-olds at 15. I think it really blew his mind. I think that was a legitimate response of holy shit. I hate being right, but look at what's happening to young women in this country. This country is so effed. It really is. I love when people are like, America the beautiful, and they cling to this idea of what this country used to be. This is what it is, okay? America, that's a whole other conversation. Maybe we'll close with that when we get to it in a second. But I want to get to the other point he makes, because they're saying, he has a book called She Deserves Less or Women Deserve Less. I don't know the exact title. And they're saying, well, you have a mom, so does she deserve less? I think the point that he would have made, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but had he been dealing with adults, I think was that women back when his mom was young didn't behave like this. They were respectful. They were kind. They were supportive. They were in their feminine role. They weren't embarrassed to be, a wife and a mom. They were proud to do those things. There was just a different energy. They weren't man-hating. None of this stuff existed. So those women deserved more from men, right? They deserve, you're all of those beautiful things as a woman. Yes, you deserve a man to step up and take care of you and pay the bills and make sure you're safe and, just protect you in every possible way. And yes, love you and care for you. And Myron and I would probably disagree on fidelity just because he has a different worldview. I don't know if it comes from religion or this idea of like sharing women, sharing men, or I'm a big believer in monogamy for many reasons. But regardless, that's a decision that couple makes together, right? And if they agree that they want to go one way or another with that, that's not my business, frankly, right? That's as long as it's mutual consent and no one's getting hurt and there's no abuse, that's up to them to make that decision. But his point about women being different, women deserved more when they were bringing stuff to the table that was respectful. And when they had the attitude of, I expect things from you and you're entitled to expect things from me too. This is a mutual respect situation. Right? It's just not that way anymore. Now it's do for me and I ain't doing shit for you. Right? It's, oh, you got to do all this, but I ain't I'm just pretty and that's all I got. That's what, and they're promiscuous and is it nasty? Look at these OF girls. This is what we're dealing with in modern times. Like, you think guys are looking at all this OnlyFans and real guys, forget about the guys who are paying for the OF. That's like the bottom of the barrel guys, right? We had that conversation with Better Bachelor where I asked him, is it the majority of men that would be disgusted by this? And he said, yes, I agree with him. Talking about real guys that value themselves. Do you think that they're, man alive? You think they're looking at these OF girls and being like, wow, this is just what's happened to women. No thanks. No thanks. And increasingly they have nowhere to go. Right? It used to be certain states were more reliable. Then it was the country girls. Now it's like a cancer everywhere because social media has broadened that out. Right now, everyone can get on social media and get corrupted. Right? So these women are just corrupted deep. Ooh, nasty stuff.